everyone, it's Joy here for Tailored Expressions. So today I created 4 cards using the super cute Over the Moon kit. I love this kit. I think it is so fantastic, and that the moon die is just amazing. So here you have your stamp set. It's got some great sentiments. That stamp, that large sentiment has a coordinating die here, and then the smaller ones have coordinating dies. You have this great half moon and stars. You have the shooting stars background. Of course, you have some foilet sheets, which I'll flip over and show you in just a second. Of course, you've got some wonderful envelopes here, some metallic and some glitter. So pretty. The envelope stickers that go on that, and then that great big sticker that's going to go on your little zipper bag here, and then some little stars, which we're going to make a shaker card from. And then here are these 4 types of foilet sheets, and you get numerous ones of these, so we're going to use a couple of those. I'm starting with the shooting stars background stamp in my MISTI. I'm going to be doing some gold heat embossing, so I want to prep this with an anti-static powder tool. This is a piece of sugar cube cardstock, and I'm going to ink this up with VersaMark ink and stamp it down. I think I'll do that 2 times. I really want to get a good crisp image of all of these fun stars in the background. So we're going to do a little bit of emboss resist. So again, I'm using some gold embossing powder, which is going to be beautiful with the colors of ink blending that we're going to be doing on the back. So I'm going to sprinkle that on. I have my heat tool heating up, getting nice and hot. I'm going to heat this until it is melted, and you know it's melted because it's nice and shiny. And look at all of those stars, the shooting stars, the different sizes of stars. This is a fantastic background. Okay, so I'm going to do some ink blending. I am using blue corn ink. Then I will use Poblano pepper and jelly donut. And these colors mix so well together. And you can just see that those gold stars pop off the background once you have this ink coming in. When I'm done ink blending, I will take a dry rag and just gently buff the ink residue from the embossing powder. So this is the Emboss Resist technique, which is really super simple but always has a huge impact. So I just want to make sure I'm getting a good blend between the 2 colors, and I just think those 2 colors together are absolutely gorgeous. I'm just bringing down that Poblano pepper, and then I'm going to come in with the jelly donut and blend that in as well. And this is just turning out so stunning. This is going to be one of the backgrounds. We're going to trim some of these pieces down actually into 3 strips and add this to a card base, and it's going to be pretty awesome. So I'm just going to finish blending these colors together, and it's just so bright and awesome. Okay, so now I actually took one of those foilet sheets and flipped it over, and I'm using just the plain side. I have got that cute moon die and those star dies. I'm placing those star dies in place. I just have the sentiment and the moon where it's going to be as like a placeholder, and I'm going to run that through my die cut machine. This is going to be the front part of a shaker card. So you're just going to see through those stars, and we're going to add some of those shaker bits from the kit. So just placing those down with some low tack tape and running it through the die cut machine. Now here's this moon. I have die cut it 4 times from sugar cube cardstock, and you can see that it embosses those little dots. Now if you run it through your die cut machine and it doesn't emboss, run it through like you would like an embossing folder, and then you'll get those embossed images. I am coming in with pineapple. I'm going to lay it down a little bit light and then come in heavier on the outside edge to give it a shadow. Then I will glue all 4 of these pieces together. That is going to give us a ton of dimension. I tend to usually do 3 times, but I really love this moon die so much, and I want it to be nice and chunky on the card. So just using some liquid glue to hold that together. Now I have that in my MISTI. I'm prepping it with my powder tool, and I'm going to stamp the sentiment that says "Over the Moon for You," and I think this is a great sentiment. Now there is the coordinating die for this, which we will use on another card, but I'm going to do some white heat embossing and then melting that with my heat tool. I'm going to add some acetate behind that. I'm adding just a little bit of liquid glue and a piece of acetate, and I will trim that down to fit the front panel. I'm coming in with foam sticky strips. These are nice and tall, so you only need one layer. I'm making sure all of the foam pieces touch each other, and we're gonna fill this up with those fun little, I would call them like coppery looking stars or brass looking stars. So I have my white background that's the same size as my front. And I'm actually gonna add these pieces of foam tape across the middle because I just want my shaker bits on the top and bottom. I don't want all of it to sit right at the bottom, so I'm using those strips as like stopper pieces so they just stay where the stars are. I'm going to sprinkle those, remove the release paper, which I probably should have removed the release paper first because it kept making the stars move around. And then I'm going to bring in my MISTI and line this up in the corner, which makes adding the back super easy. So I'm just going to pop that piece of sugar cube cardstock down. I'm going to come in with that moon with some liquid glue and add it, and now that part is done. We will add that to a card base in just a little bit. Okay, so now for our 2 foilet sheets, I have some aqua foil and some silver shattered glass. I have my Mink machine on 5 and it's nice and heated up. I put those in my carrier sheet and ran them through, and look at these backgrounds. This one is my favorite because when you don't have it turned to the light, it's hard to see the foil. Okay, I've got some sea salt cardstock that I've die cut 4 times with that moon, and I'm using sea salt ink to go a little bit darker around the edges. I want to give this a nice shadow too. Oh, actually, no, this is Earl Grey ink. Excuse me, it's Earl Grey ink. Then I'm coming in with the Jelly Donut and Poblano Pepper for those die cut stars from white cardstock. You could just die cut these from cardstock as well, but I already had the inks out, so I thought I would just ink those up. Then I cut little tiny pieces of the foam sticky strips, and where the stars are on this foiled background, where it has like the shooting stars, I'm going to pop up these colored stars on top of those. So it just gives it some fun dimension and some movement on this background. And I love that silver for the stars. Okay, now I decided on this background, I'm bringing it in one more time, and from the stamp set you have that shooting star stamp. I'm just going to stamp that on 3 of these stars with VersaMark ink. So it's just like a Watermark ink, and it just gives it a great look. Then I have the Over the Moon sentiment that I'm stamping with Poblano ink, and I'm going to use the coordinating die. And I also have more of the other sentiments. I die cut, or I stamped and die cut 6 of them, but I only ended up using 5. I am doing some gold heat embossing, so I prepped it with the powder tool. I'm going to sprinkle on the gold embossing powder and then again heat that with my heat tool. Here's the coordinating dies, and I love these die strips that you can just cut out these sentiments. It's perfect. They're 2 different sizes, and so I'm just going to die cut all of these, place them down with some low tack tape, and run that through my die cut machine. Now let's get these cards put together. I have all of these cards on a white A2 size card base. I popped up this sentiment that says best wishes with some foam sticky strips. I'm going to adhere the moon down, and then the over the moon sentiment is just going to be slightly overlapped with some foam sticky strips behind that for dimension. I'm going to put that in place. And then at the end, I'll show you when you turn this card, this is where you're going to see that aqua foil. Here is that first background we did. I am cutting 3 strips that are 1 inch in width, and we're going to adhere this to the front of an A2 size card base. So I'm going to pop these up with foam tape. So that's how those fit, which is totally perfect. This just gives the background a little bit more of an interest, having a little bit of a space in between. Coming in with the foam sticky strips, 2 pieces of that, 1 on each side. I did my center one first and then my 2 sides, and once I know they're all straight, I can push that down. Now let's get these sentiments straight. I'm using the You Did It, So Proud of You, Way to Go, and Cheering You On. And I'm going to alternate with the top one and then the one closest to the bottom with foam tape, and the other 2 will be adhered directly to the background, just to add a little bit of interest. So I'm going to finish off this last one with some foam tape, and then these cards are done. I love this background. Those ink colors are so gorgeous with that beautiful stamp set. Then this one is my favorite because as soon as you turn it to the light, it's like all of those stars appear. So I think this is my favorite card of the group. This one is just fun with all of that shimmer in the background and the fun popped up stars. And then of course you have a shaker card, which, you know, who doesn't love a shaker card? Thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching. I hope that you feel inspired by this project. You can find all of these products at the Tailored Expressions web store at tailoredexpressions.com.